So once upon a time in a land not too far away from here, with people who seemed to be pretty similar to all of you, there was a small village, relatively small village, and the people were pretty happy. The people shared quite nicely with one another, and they coexisted in relative peace. And largely this was due to this community garden, this huge, thriving community garden right in the middle of their village, and they had everything kind of situated around it, so you had to walk through it to get to other places, so you're surrounded by beauty, you were surrounded by everything everyone else was doing, and they cooperated, and people would help out in each other's areas, and it was a thriving, woven community. But there was a pretty steep hill, and up on the top of this hill, there lived Dr. Squizzle Tasm. And he was an angry, angry, angry man. Greedy, fantastically greedy. So greedy that he spent his days, he had come into some money, we're not exactly sure how, but he had this huge, lavish house, and all he did, all day, every day, was look through his telescope down at the village and kept strict account of anything new anybody got. And because he could go online and just get the exact same stuff, as soon as anybody had it, he had his laptop right there and he would just, and it would be delivered to his house relatively quickly. Because he so couldn't even stand the idea of other people having anything that he didn't. He was so full of envy, so full of greed, it absolutely encompassed every single moment of his waking life. But it didn't affect the people in the village. They were happy. They were happy and they shared. Every time they got something new, they would just show it to their neighbors and say, "Hey, would you like to use it?" And they would say, "Sure, I'll play with it." And so they shared everything amongst one another. But as urban sprawl came, there was a large business saw this thriving cooperative community, and they said, "You know, I bet I can make a buck off these people." And another man set up this business right outside of town, making these special goggles. These special vaguely green-colored goggles, the bigger, better, faster goggles. And he sold them, and he tried to get people to wear them, and as soon as you put them on, you looked around, and you looked at what you had, what you owned, and you just were filled with this desire for something bigger, something better, something faster. You were filled with a discomfort and a distaste for the things that you knew as your own. And so people automatically didn't want to buy them, and so it was hard for him to sell these bigger, better, faster goggles in the very beginning. And so he decided he was going to poison the water supply. He created this very special poisonous blend, and he sort of seeped it into the town's water. It's little by little, so people didn't really notice it at first. But the water started to glow just a little bit green. And people were thinking, well, maybe they're putting extra fluoride in, maybe this is good for me. So they kept drinking it, and they said, suddenly, slowly, this green haze began to film over their eyes. And they looked at one another, and they thought that maybe they didn't exactly want to share this new widget that they bought. They tended their plot in the community garden. They looked over and they saw that somebody's sunflower was just a little bit bigger, was just a little bit brighter than their own, and they started to fall into this greed, this horrible, encompassing greed that just filled them, and he kept putting more and more and more water. More and more did he taint the water, and more people saw it. And so he started selling these goggles, and people put them on, and it just fueled what they already knew. I thought this wasn't big enough. I thought this wasn't fast enough. I knew I needed that, they thought, when they put on the goggles and drank the water. Now, Dr. Tasm, up on his hill, watched this all transpire. And you'd think that he was happy. You'd think that other people were joining his fight in greed, but no. He felt connected to people. He felt like he was sharing this experience, this emotional experience that had just been his own. All of a sudden was shared with all these people in the town, and it was no longer special. And he didn't want any part of it. And so he was watching, and he saw the person poisoning the water, and he thought, okay. He had this inkling of this moment of this place back in time. This beautiful house that his grandparents used to live in. And he would spend a large part of his summers there. They were taken from him too young, and he lost them, and it was a sad, hard thing for him. But he remembered there was this creek that ran through, fresh mountain water ran through their place. And so he remembered drinking it, remembered it was the clearest, freshest, most amazing water. And he knew, some part of his soul, he knew that he could go get that water, and that water would start to heal what was broken in the people. That water would start to wash away the cloud that had descended over their eyes. And so he left, and he went on a pilgrimage, and he went to his grandparents' place. It had long been bought and lived in by other people, but still the creek ran, and he snuck in, and he got this huge vat of the water, and he brought it back down. And he came down the hill for the first time in a very, very long time. And he started sharing the water with people, and he said, drink this. And the first person drank, and sure enough, the clear mountain water and its purity and its freshness just washed the green haze from their eyes. And they could see again, and they thought, God, why did I like that sunflower? It's not even as good as mine. Oh my God, I can't even... People started to see, and he went from person to person just sharing this water. And he told them what he had done, and so they sent them out. And he said, go get the best, freshest, most amazing water, wherever has touched you, wherever has fed you, wherever has nourished you. Go and bring that water back and share it with the people. And he went person to person to person. And one by one, all of them, the green haze disappeared, and one by one they left. And they brought back water, they brought back earth from the places that had touched them and held them and nourished them most. And the strangest thing started to happen, unbeknownst to him. All of this sharing and all of this connection and all of this water and all of this healing, something had kind of shifted inside of his heart, and he had actually started to enjoy it. He'd actually started to enjoy this connection between people, and as everyone brought back their water and brought back their earth, and as everyone was healed, as everyone shed all of the limiting patterns, all of the crazy inhibiting stories that they had been holding, he felt connected. He felt one with this new community. And so every year they set out, and every year they came back, and every year they shared that water, and they were linked and woven forevermore. Amen.